Let's talk about neuropathy. The blood flow and the feeling of the nerves going down through the legs have now become restricted. And I've never gone through neuropathy, but I hear about the pain that you go through, and I really am sad to hear of the pain. But again, it's really important that you begin to exercise and loosen up and get the blood flow going back down. For this one, I'm going to take my shoes off. I think, again, relative to your pain level, it's really important that you are able to get the full interaction of the foot on the ground. And I said before, I did go through 8 months in a boot where my foot would no longer function, and I had to come back from that. That's not neuropathy, but I do understand how important it is to be. I couldn't go up on my toes, I couldn't balance, I couldn't go on one leg, I couldn't even walk or balance on my left leg at all. So I understood what we were doing then. I do have a new product coming out, which I developed specifically for people suffering with neuropathy and foot issues of going up on their toes, and I'm excited to launch that pretty soon. So what I want you to do in here, we talked about not being able to go up on your toes. So let's think about the issue. Not being able to go up on your toes is the end result. You would like to be able to go up to this position. So let's work backwards. Let's start by putting the tip of your toe on the ground. If I do this here, you'll see just the tip of my toe is on the ground. All I want to do is feel it. I'm not putting any pressure. I want to feel the tip of my toe, which is higher than we want to go from being able to go up on your tip toes. Now from there, what I want you to do is once you're here, just let the foot roll back again. So you're here again. Remember, what's the goal we want to go to? What's the issue? I can't go up on my toes. So in that case, let's start working, instead of from the ground up, let's start working from the top down. So we're reversing the process. So now what I want you to do in here is when you're here and your toes on the ground, now see if you can just push your toes. If I show from here, hopefully you can see, I'll step up on the board because I think the dark contrast will help. I just want to just see if I can just do this. There's no pressure. All I'm doing is I'm loosening up the toes to be able to, again, move independently from the foot, because a lot of times this will happen. You can't move those toes, and until we can move the toes independently from the foot by just doing this, we're always going to be stuck on not being able to go up, because this is the end position of going up on your toes. So it's here and down, here and down, here and down. And slow it, and even if it's really painful, you can't really do it, and this is happening, you're not really getting the bend, work slowly on it. And if you get to this position here, now the next step is, all I want you to do is bring the foot down and just push into here. And now look, for me, I know this is comfortable to do, and I know so many of you have pain doing this, so always work at your own pain level and do a little bit. If you can increase your flexibility by 1% a day, imagine in 10 days you'll be 10% better. That's already well on the way. So again, just work within even if you can only go to here and this is happening and there's hardly any bend, just push a little bit on those toes as they begin to come to the board and see if you can increase that flexibility. So again, once we've got to there and you're doing this where you're working, now what I want you to do is reverse it. So you'll go from your heel and try and find that same position. Go up on here again. We were going from here to here and here to here. Now we go from here to here. So we're just reversing it and we're getting the full degree of motion which we would have. But instead of trying to do the whole thing, we've broken it down. Here, we've got the top, probably 30%. And then from here, we've got the rest of the remaining 70%. And so that's how I would start working on there. And then eventually you'll go 1 foot up, 1 foot up, and then eventually you'll go 1 foot up and try and raise the other foot to meet it. So we'll push off of both feet and try, so we don't have all the weight going onto 1 foot, but both feet, one leads with its action, then we push on both and try and go up. So that would be a progression that I would work with you if we were working together one-on-one. So again, very simple, but dynamic in the way that this works. Now, as far as neuropathy goes, and again, I know so many of you have amazing physical therapists, and I would never step on a physical therapist's toes telling you what to do. But I would step onto the board, make sure that it's safe. If I felt comfortable not doing it with shoes on, I always recommend non-slip surface, non-slip shoes. But if you feel comfortable, what I would do is I would start rocking side to side. Again, I'm in socks. Again, make sure the surface is clean. If you're not in a safe position, do not do this exercise. But all I want to do is start pushing with the outside of my feet. So my feet are on one, and I push with the outside of my feet. And I feel the weight going to the outside, because that's where the pressure is going to be. That's where you're going to feel the nerves in the feet sending messaging back, which may not be happening so fast right now until we get the blood flow going and the neurons reactivated again, pushing into here. But the outside will start to have that blood going to the outside. Then I would step to 3 and 3, and I would start rocking and pushing on the big ball joint, of my big toe. So the ball joint of my big toe, and just pushing side to side. So now I feel the pressure on the inside of my feet. And by doing that, I'm then bringing the blood to the inside, or the pressure points, the nerve activation, the messaging begins to go to the inside. Now, the last thing that I'll do on neuropathy for now would include the red ball. So let me step back off of the board, and I'm actually going to take the red ball and I'm going to take it off of the board. And again, I'm not going to do this standing up because I don't want to end up having issues with the ball, but I will bring my chair to the center. I'm now going to take my right foot onto the ball, and I'm just going to roll my foot. And this is something you can do watching TV. I wouldn't stand up on the ball without being in the board. One, because of safety of balance, and two, this was designed to be in the board, not on the floor. But just watching TV and rocking side to side, just lifting my foot up and down, feeling the little massage points that I put on here, as well as grip massage points, feeling them engaging in my feet. And if it's hurting, just put a little less pressure on there, or you can get a towel and put a towel over the top of the ball so you don't feel the pressure points quite so much, but you'll still have the flexibility of moving that foot. And again, engagement is critical. I would then move the ball to my heel, and I would do the same thing on my heel, rocking it around, because obviously neuropathy is the whole foot going up to the leg, and it depends on the level of your neuropathy. But I would just be in here nice and easy, just feeling it massage my feet. And again, just trying to engage, feeling and getting the brain to send the messaging to the foot, and then getting the blood going down there and starting to re-engage, reawaken that area. I hope that helps a lot with that one in there, Mary. Okay, next one we're going to go on to. And again, I hope you're doing these with me. It's very, very different, but again, I want you to understand how to design this workout. So the next one I'm going to do is a little bit different the way I'm going to show you how this works. So let me just do these up. There you go. This reminds me, remember when you very first learned to do up shoelaces and it became something that was a challenge and you want to do it because you wanted to feel grown up? And you can see I'm sweating in here. These are not easy. They're great. Good morning, Vivian. Great to see you here. Amazing lady. Thanks so much. So the next one we got is, so I was just saying, doing up your shoelaces, how that became something that was such a challenge as a kid, and you learned to do it and then you felt so grown up. Now, it's like, we don't even think about it, and that's the beauty of learning or relearning how to do it. I went through my own challenges many times where I had to learn to use my fingers again and learn how to put a nut on a screw. And just having to go through that was so frustrating. But then you get the other side of it and you're back living life again. Amy, there's your water break. Thank you very much. I get excited when I'm teaching, and I love education, both learning and being able to help other people tap into their great potential as well. Okay, next one, Sammy. Rising out of the chair and turning. So I'm going to do this one slightly a little bit different because I want you to, again, to understand the problems that you're having and how we break that down. So let's talk about the way getting out of a chair. So I taught this the other day. I'm just going to move this forward. The motion, oops, it was heavier than I thought. Okay, the motion of getting out of a chair is here. We lean forward, you put your hands on your knees, you bring your heels slightly back so it's underneath you, and you push yourself up. Okay, so that's the first motion. I'll do it from the side. We're here, I bring my heels back, I lean forward, bring my heels and I push with my hands, and I stand up. So that's the first part of Sammy's idea, rising out of the chair, but also turning. So let's look at this. So we're going to step up, and then I'm going to turn. So let's look at the motion that we go through. I go forward, I push up, and here's my motion to turn, which lets me understand that it's this motion after the stand-up that is becoming the problem, that we end up not feeling comfortable. So I'm going to take that even further. So I've gone from here, I go to here, I begin to turn. Am I upright first, or am I slightly off? In which case the pressure goes onto my outside foot. Now as I begin to turn, is the outside of my foot strong enough to support my body weight? And where am I leaning? Is my shoulder too much to the side? So let's break this down even more and say, how do we now replicate that motion so we can train it? So the one time you do it isn't bad because we've done it 30, 40 times in preparation. So here we go with the stand-up. We're in here. Great. Let's jump on the board. Very simple. Your butt goes back as if you were coming out of a chair. So I'm back into this position here. I can move my hands lower if I want, so I can support. And we're just going to step up and let your hands come up. And I'm really not worried right now if the board is balanced or not. So I let my hands come to here, and then I stand back up again. I sit down, I stand back up. I sit down, I stand back up. So that would train us for that motion of being in a chair. Now you'll see in a chair I don't have handles. You do, they're your knees. So as I stand up, I push on my handles or my knees to be able to stand up, and that's me in that position. Now let's go on to the second one. We have a problem of the turning of the foot. So what I want you to do is turn and push. And every time you push, you're going to change your foot angle. So here we are in a standing position. I hope you can see my feet. I'm going to move this back just a little bit. Let me just do this. So I'm in this position. I've stood up. Now every time I push on the right, I'm going to turn my foot slightly this way, turn my foot slightly this way, and I'm going to lean on it. And I'll notice as I'm doing it, the pressure is always on my little toe. So here's my little toe and I'm pressing, and I press, and I turn completely to the side, and just do this exercise of getting used to leaning onto that foot. Look, it's exactly the same motion as I stand up and I turn. Look at the motion I'm in. If I replicate that, it's the same motion here. But I'm actually doing it on a moving surface. So when I get on the floor and I step up and I turn, I'm on such a solid floor I can feel that. Now, the other way that I would train the ability to turn in here, if I'm in here, I'm just going to advance this a little bit. As I go here, I'm going to bend and push back, and then bend and push back, and bend and push back, and bend and push back. Because what I'm doing is I'm strengthening the one leg, where I would now advance it, where I go here and down, here. It's a small little back leg lift, here and down, here and down. So I'm doing more than I need to do to get out of the chair. I hope that makes sense for you to do. So again, replicating it one more time. You step up and you turn. And what I would say in here, as we're going through this, Sammy, is start off without leaning. You're going to stand up and then turn and go. So we break it into two motions until you feel comfortable stepping up and going straight into it. We isolate and get strong here and get strong here, and then the motion of turning sideways here becomes natural. Now, the last thing that we could do with this, and this is for anybody that has problems changing direction, you can step up to here, then step up to here, and then step up to here. So we're training the body to feel the movement, and then I would do it not with the how do I say this? The leg that's not turning first. Now go with the one that is turning first, and just step into here and feel that strength. You'll be amazed at how quickly you'll get strong and comfortable and go back into that standing and turning out there. So I hope that addressed the issue. Again, critical for us to be able to get up and move and start combining the exercises so everyday activity is so simple. Okay, next one we're going on to. Oh, I love this one. Deborah, hip flexors. And then preventing falling once you've lost balance. This was huge for Bob. This was an exercise that I absolutely love because I went through this with Bob. If you begin to trip, if I'm going across here and I trip, how do I stop myself from falling? And once I break it down to you, it's going to be so simple and you're going to get it and it's going to save you so many times. So first off, hip flexors. Hip flexors are so easy to train. And the reason being is because every time you lift your knee up, you have the hip flexors that are working. So just something as simple as this, lifting up, are beginning to strengthen the hip flexor. Now, the next one is when you lift your leg up and just hold it in this position. Now what we're doing is we're using the hip flexor to lift. Now we're holding, so we want to just hold that tight, and this muscle, the hip flexor, is beginning to strengthen. Now to increase that, you can go to here. Once you're here, just do small little knee raises without putting your leg down. And I wouldn't recommend more than 4 or 5 at a time, because the hip flexor is also very sensitive. It's not a very big muscle that's working in here. And so you want to make sure that as you're in here that you're not overworking it. It's not very big. It's not very, you're not going to grow the hip flexor size in here. So again, you've just got to have really nice activation to make sure that all your tendons, ligaments, muscles are all working together to give you the strength to go up and down a step. Now, last one that I'll give you on this one before we go on to the falling is if you want to double increase, I can go tap, lift, down. So we're double working the hip flexor as you're going. So I begin to engage it, I lift it twice and bring it down. Now, if I give you a little sneaky tip in here, and again, I normally wouldn't do this, but in this teaching environment, I'm going to. Let me give you a little tip that I probably, it's totally safe to do. All we're going to do is we're going to put in the short band, right? So you've got the short band in here. I'm now going to get a chair, and all I'm going to do is put my foot inside the band. In here, I'm going to put one foot on, and all I'm going to do is pull my hip or pull my knee back up using the band, and I can get some resistance. If I do this sideways on, let me show you this. So again, I'm in here. I put my foot in the band, put my other foot on the board to hold it, and now all I'm going to do is just pull in here, and having that little extra resistance of the band is something that will give you slightly more of a hip flexor workout. So that didn't come from me, it did come from me, but that's how you can get a little bit more resistance on your hip flexor exercises to strengthen. Now, moving on to the next one. Here we go. If you begin to fall, and I love this exercise, what do? So let's think about this. Remember babies when they'd be running or they try and take steps and they throw their arms at you because they wanted you to catch them. That was their first 2, 3, 4 steps, and you grab them and celebrate because they've taken their first steps, but they couldn't control their fall forward. Well, now as we begin to get older and we're fearful of falling, the first thing that happens is as we begin to fall, the first thing we do is throw our arms out to catch ourselves. So look at this. I'm here, I trip, my weight's going forward, I throw my arms forward. Look where all my momentum and my weight is going. I'm going forward and I'm going down. And that's what's so dangerous. In fear, because instead of looking at ourselves and saying we can save ourselves, we're looking at the safety. What can I grab? And by taking your body weight or your extremities away from the center, you're throwing your momentum more down. So let's break this down again. As I'm going, I begin to trip. As my head goes forward, two things have to happen. I have to bring my head back and I have to speed my feet up. So if I'm in here and I trip, I've got to do this because I've got to bring my body back into alignment and centered again. So that's the whole purpose of foot movement and head movement, is as we trip, we reverse what's happening. So I'm going across here, I trip, I'm here, I speed my feet up and I bring my upper body back. So we've gone from here to here to here, and now we're able to save ourselves again. So one of the exercises that I love on this board, and you probably would have seen me do this, I'll turn it around, is walking over the board, because the two things we've got to train is bringing the body back and speeding the feet up. So as I'm in here and we step over, as we step, I'm leaning forward. Now what I do, I keep holding onto the pole, so I pull my body back and I take quick little steps around. Let's move this back a little bit further so you can see better. So I take nice and easy, I step, I'm here, I lean forward, but I hold onto the pole, that as I step off, I allow my body to come back. And we want to train, as I do the steps, take as many steps as you can. So I'm here, quick little steps, and take as many as you want, because we're training our feet to move fast. So that's the first thing that I do, and you always turn towards the hand that's still on the pole. So I'm beginning to fall forward, no, I speed my feet up and I stand back up. The second thing, which is the one that I've actually got videos of Bob doing this. I had to ask Bob if I can post it, because it was funny, we didn't actually have the handles in the ball, we did it without handles, because once we progressed, we knew that it was safe for Bob to do that. So I'd have him do this, step, 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 and then just run and stand up again. Let's see if I can move this back a little further so you can see. So imagine, you still have the handles, but as I step off, I'm going to speed my feet up and pull my body back. One more time. I step here, 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 and as I step off, I begin to speed my feet up and I pull my body back so I can go in. I got videos of Bob over like 12 feet, because we'd start going faster. Let me see if I can do this even more for you. So I'm here, 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 here. We'd run and then grab those feet. And I would have him do it facing the sofa. So the sofa would be over here. So I could go to here, here. And if he felt unstable, at least the sofa was there to catch him. Again, safety. So again, that's so simple to do. And again, let me explain again. I started looking at the problem and worked backwards and said, what is the motion that we have to do? What are we going to have that brings back everyday real life activity? That's why when people turn around and say, you hear people will say the 60-up balance board is a waste of money, it's too expensive, it's not worth it, it doesn't work. It works because it's about real life. All we've done is taken real life and put it into a training platform, not trying to say, here's a new thing. You've already got the body, you've already got the smarts. This is about how do we replicate life situations and then train it to a higher level so everyday life seems so simple. And I've heard from so many people that they've begun to fall and they've saved themselves. My own mother had that, where she had her 3 grandchildren jump on her, and she's a very young, 80-something year old, and she's very petite, and they jumped on her and she began to fall and they let go, and she said she saw my brother's face with his kids, Aiden, Jude, and Charlotte. And my mum looked at him like, I'm going to fall. And my brother was like, didn't know what to do because he was too far away. And suddenly she was standing and she didn't fall. And she said it's because her brain kicked in and her feet moved to save her. And that's fantastic to hear. Okay, I hope that helps. Next one we're going to go on to. How to get up off of the ground. Okay, I have a video that I shot showing how to get up off of the ground. It's a full video. I'm going to have that put up on YouTube because it's a whole system. But I'll show you very quickly because I don't want to take that away like it's not important. It's very important. So what we would do, imagine, and once you've got a system and you have a method, you'll begin to progress. You'll begin to understand because your brain will kick in, this is what I do. So imagine you're on the ground, you're in a prone position down here and you want to get up. What we do first is you'll lie flat, you'll then put your hands in front of you, you'll bring one knee out, and you'll begin to push yourself up and bring that other knee under. So now you're on your knees and your hands. Even if you've broken your wrist, you can be here. The next thing you'll do is you'll slide one leg up, you'll lean back on that leg, grab hold, we're just talking about training to get up, grab hold of the poles and push yourself back up again. So we're prone, you'll land flat, you bring one leg to the side, I can move this a little bit more forward. You here, bring one leg to the side, push yourself up and bring both knees together. Then you'll take one foot, bring it here, grab hold of the poles, tuck your back foot under, which is critical. You'll pull with your arms and push with your legs. But I'm going to get that video put up on YouTube. I've got to go find it and have that, because practicing it, you'll notice in class I practice how to get on the ground into here, so you can practice that motion going here. Then here's the problem, we've got down, now we can reverse it, coming up into here, one foot, tuck the toe and pull yourself up. And often, when you've got a system, it would naturally kick in under stressful situations, because the system, the body would take over and it's all about survival at that point. I'm not being dramatic, I'm saying being able to get up and get help, not get caught lying out in the cold, hypothermia kicking in. When you have a system, you'll believe in yourself. And believing in yourself to look after yourself and do it is incredible. Okay, Amy, great question. What if there's nothing to pull up on? So this is what I would do. And again, we learn how to do this. There's a couple of things. One, there could be a park bench you crawl to. There could be a sidewalk that you can put your arms up on. There could be a stone or a rock, I'm talking about a big rock, that you can grab hold of and help push up. But if you don't, and again, that's having a system and saying, okay, what's around me? What can I use for survival? If not, I'll be here. I now push, I put one knee up, I come up into here, my hands are here. I bring my foot up. Now you do have something to push up on. You've got your knee here. As long as you tuck that back toe over, and that's why you'll see I'll practice in class here. Now I can put my forearms on and I can push with my body. And if you want to, you have that determined look. I've read stories, incredible stories of women who had a child stuck under a car and they lifted that car up and got their child out. You know the incredible strength that women have, and men as well, when they're under pressure and have a purpose and a reason. So again, if you're on the ground here and you really want to get up and you know this is a matter of survival and you put your attention, it may be something, I want to get up because I want to see my grandchildren tomorrow. There's always a dynamic reason. So I'm here, I bring my knee up, I come up on one knee, I bring the other knee together, I put my foot up, I tuck under the back toe. It's critical because you've got to push with both legs. Now I can put my hand here and push, or I can put my forearms here, and I'm thinking of pushing very slightly forward, but then up. So I go forward, and then I come back up, and now you're in a position to be able to recover and go again. It does take training, and you'll see that I do this training in class, how to get down, how to get up. So confidence-wise, you know how to do it, and then you have the ability to practice it. And I say, practicing it a couple of times a week can save your life. And at the same time, it makes you stronger, it makes you more agile, it gives you the confidence not to walk around in fear of falling, but rather enjoying everyday life.